That's part of the reason why I haven't been in a rush to fix it, because the challenge is kind of, it's like, it's wild. This is a wild life that I live.
It's like I drive my RV and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to back this shit up. You're looking for turnarounds. You're that.
I'm looking. Listen,
you're looking for pull throughs.
Listen, if a tree falls down on the road that I'm driving, I'm done. I already have that in the back of my mind.
You just throw
all
the keys on the front seat and just walk away.
Man, one time. Well, guys, welcome to the Winners Podcast. My name is Shannon. Today, I'm joined by my host, Zack, and we have someone special. We have the commercial guru himself. We have Jeremy Casey on the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I've had you on the list to be on the show for a minute. This podcast has been in the works for a while. So I'm like, you know what? We got to get Jeremy Casey on there, the gyro guru.
Everybody says it different. Gyro, gyro. I still don't know, so I say it all different ways.
The right way, I think, is technically like hero or something like that, like the real way. But
you also didn't call me your lovely co-host, so
I changed it up today.
Ooh, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't like the inconsistency.
Like my lovely co-host, but I changed it up. You know,
kind of dry.
You fucked up. Okay,
yeah.
My lovely co-host Zach. Anyways,
thank you.
So Jeremy, tell me a little bit. What do you do exactly?
How much time you got?
Hey, we got all day.
Great.
Not really. We got into 12.
Fantastic. So right now I own and operate SR Commercial. We're a commercial real estate brokerage boutique, full service out of Springfield. We're in the states of Massachusetts and Connecticut. We have 10 brokers and agents. So we're the largest staffed, independently owned brokerage that only focuses on commercial in pretty much this whole entire market. Wow. And during that time, we've represented we've been alive for about 5.5 years. We've done over 500 transactions, amounting to 130 million in volume. Done everything from ground up development, retail, industrial, repositions of real estate, you name it, we've done it. So that's that. I also do invest in commercial real estate. I teach entrepreneurship at Elms College in Chicopee. God, what else do I do?
Yeah, so you have a full schedule.
Like a list.
You have a full schedule, a lot of stuff. What's like the biggest misconception that people have of commercial real estate?
That it's like residential. Like that's the biggest one. Everyone's like, I'll get asked all the time of like, oh, so do you do houses? Nah, that's not my bag. Like I don't get down that way. I don't have the patience for that. It's a completely different beast. The crazy thing is, if you are licensed in the state of Massachusetts as a real estate salesperson, you can do both, but you should absolutely not as a real estate agent.
Why not?
Both. Because it's like, and I'm probably going to piss people off, but I don't give a shit. It's like the difference between the Army and the Marines. Like, so there's 3,000 agents that are residential in this current market. There's 60 of us.
Oh.
That do commercial?
Yep.
Wow.
So that it's a big difference. And like the other thing too is residential. It's like, and again, I'm dumbing it down and I apologize, but it's kind of like UPS. If it fits, it ships. Like, so I want a, 3-bed, 1-bath, 2-garage, half-acre house in Feeding Hills. Boom. You can most likely off the cuff fire out a value for that. But that's residential. You get into commercial, you have multifamily, you've got industrial, you've got retail, you've got office, medical office, you have specialty, hospitality, you have land. So, and people specialize in little fragments or niches. Like there's people that all they do is self-storage. There's people that all they do is like QSRs or quick service restaurants like Starbucks. There's people that only represent tenants. That's it. Don't do sales, don't do it. Like, so, and it's actually pushed on you in commercial that you actually do specialize. Out here in Western Massachusetts, Connecticut, it's a little bit more fragmented. So we're what are called generalists. So we work all across. We niche in the area, not in the asset class. But that is the biggest difference, I would say. Most people think they're very similar. They're not. They're completely different.
How long have you been doing it?
6 years. But then if you add in the commercial, the lending experience, probably now like 17.
Sheesh. Been around for a minute.
Yeah.
So you mentioned commercial real estate in this area, the agents are more generalist. Yeah. So what would you say would be your closest niche? I know you probably deal with everything.
I love industrial. like the style of building that we're sitting in, right? This is considered a flex building in an industrial area. And so I love those buildings because everyone looks at them and they're like, oh, it's just a box, right? It's a concrete block building. No, like the power requirement, what is the load on the floor? How thick's the concrete? Does it have dock doors? Like what can you do within that space? Is there a rail spur? Like industrial is really fun. And people look at it and they're like, oh, they're old, dirty buildings. Like I love them because in an industrial building, like when you look at the rank of zoning, you have like residential at the bottom, single family. And then it goes up from there. And at the top is industrial. Like in Agawam, specifically in an industrial 2 or industrial B, you can actually put a power plant, right? So like you can put a cyanide processing plant, whatever the fuck that is, right? So you could do that. You can't do that shit in like Westfield. Like you need special permits for it. Like in residential, like if you're our like residence A, you can just put a single family home. That's all you're doing. Nothing else. Industrial, you could put manufacturing, you could put warehousing, you can put everything under the sun, but you can't put residential. So you'd have to change zoning. Business, sometimes you can put residential as long as there's a certain percentage of, retail or office component to it. So and also the lending is completely different on commercial as well. So this goes to the point as to why, we stay in our lanes.
Yeah, and there's so many like different variables that it could be easy to drop the ball in any one of those.
100%.
In one of those areas. Like you can talk to a client and they're looking for, a zone A or whatever, I don't know the term. But they get to the nitty gritty, it's like, oh wait, this is an industrial zone. Like
it's interesting. I'm curious, how long are typical transactions then?
Dude.
It can range.
So the longest transaction I've worked on from literally offer being accepted to close 2 years.
What?
Yeah, it's a lot of maintenance. It's like having a side chick.
Wait.
What happens in those 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually doing one that's 5 years.
So hold on. So explain. Someone's purchasing.
Yeah, somebody's purchasing it.
So explain the 5 year.
Yeah. So like this actually was called a battery storage facility. And the reason why those are coming about is because we have so much solar coming into the grid right now that, peak hours, we're using all of that. But off peak hours, it's still being, created and the grid can't handle it. So what they want to do, and they have to ship it out not to get too technical, they have to ship out all of that electricity at a lower rate when people aren't using it. So what they want to do is store it so that they can, all that extra generated electricity, they can store it and then deploy it at peak hour so they can get a lot more money for it. This deal I'm doing, can't say where it is, but it's a 20-acre site. And literally, it's just a big, like, batteries. Huge. Wow. To get the approvals for this, it's 5 years. To get the whole thing done, 5 years, but they're paying twice what the property would normally be worth because this is such a specialized use that we haven't seen yet. Yeah. So it's kind of wild. But they pay holding fees during those 5 years. Yeah. Like there's a lot more like complexity to that agreement.
I bet because their financials have to be super strong too.
Oh, the people that are coming in like, whew, like the
idea of filling your pipeline in commercial real estate is like,
get it?
It has to be.
Oh yeah. So right now I think. Whoa. So right now I think we have about 132 listings currently for sale or for lease, and that's just 3 of us, which is another difference because your normal residential listing agent probably has 4, 5, 6 maybe listings. Like I think I have 70 right now. So then.
That sounds insane. 70.
How do you keep track of that?
So why do you think my beard's gray? Like seriously, I'm 38. You're like, no, he's not 38. No, I'm totally 38. But that's having 3 kids and a lot of shit going on. That's a lot of shit.
Life.
That's life. At any time, like we have probably 20 to 30 million in volume sitting in our pipeline for 3 top producing agents. Like I hate to use that, but like team leads, and then a pool of, newer brokers or agents coming into the market that are getting into commercial. And so it's like your normal life cycle on residential too is, normally 3 months you can be up and running and closing deals.
Yeah.
Nah. Like the average break even, and I think we have it faster than the industry standard. First of all, only 5% of commercial agents make it past their first year.
Makes sense.
Another 5% of that 5% make it past their second year.
That makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, It makes sense. It makes total sense.
But we're like about, I think it's like 50%, then another 50% in the year 2.
Okay.
So like, yeah, but we also, I don't do mainly tenant leads. I give them to people. I fire those off because when you have 70 listings, you can't do that yourself.
Yeah.
But most of the shops in this market only have 2 agents.
Yeah.
And they may have like 40 listings ish, but that's why they niche. So it's bigger deals.
Yep.
With a lot less frequency and volume. So, but yeah, pipeline's crazy, and you got to keep that pipeline full because probability that it falls apart during transaction is much higher than residential.
Yeah.
Because it may not fit. There's due diligence periods, like inspection periods, but can be years. Like this
That's crazy. This
battery storage deal is.
I'm genuinely interested in this commercial side just because I've been so privy to like the residential side just because everyone that I work with. So you mentioned 5% people don't make it past the first year, and then 5% of that. What does a successful first year look like? I know because in residential, a lot of people say on average you sell 1 house in your first year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still accurate, but if a residential agent is selling 1 house in the first year, and that's, let's say it's easy, relatively speaking, to commercial, what does it look like in year 1 for a commercial agent?
Well, that's evolved for us over the 6 years that we've started this, because when I started, it was just me and one other person. And then I brought on my boy Paul Bongiorni, savage.
I see his signs everywhere.
Great dude. And he was like the first prototype that we had. It was like, okay, like I know I can hustle my face off and I know I'm going to be successful, right? Like, cause there's not a if, it's a when. Cause I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning and going to sleep at 11 and not stopping working. Like I regret saying this and it sucks. But like when I had my firstborn, who's now 6, I started this company right when I had him. And so like I didn't really get to see him grow up because I worked my fucking face off. Like I was firing out emails at 4:30. Like, dude, I'm like, I had to be a machine.
You're grinding.
I'm sitting at my fucking, my dining room table. Actually, I think it was like my kitchen counter and just banging out emails, calling anybody I fucking could. And that's why, but I didn't start making money, and I loaded up all my debt to the point where I was like, all my credit cards were maxed out, like total like entrepreneurial like story, except for I wasn't in a fucking garage because there was too much shit in there. So, but like I was at the kitchen table. So, but yeah, like it's really tough because it's expensive. Like you bring on a listing in residential, like you're gonna pay for a video, right? But you're mostly not going to pay for shit unless, like, you might pay for a transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, like services like that. But it's not a lot of upfront cost.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that stuff is on the
back end too. Like you're not coming up front. Like so, my signage sometimes do it. Like the most expensive sign I bought and installed was like $4,000 just for the fucking sign.
Crazy.
That's just to say that it's for sale, for lease.
Yeah, because I paint the fucking town. Like. I'm going to look at the sign ordinance. I'm going to be like, how big can I make this thing? Like, we're repping Open Square in Holyoke. So 780,000 square feet.
Yeah,
that's one of our
that place
buildings.
Is huge.
I want to paint the side of the fucking building.
Okay, I mean, I get it.
Like, I'll drop $10,000 on that. Sure, let's go.
It.
You won't miss it. Like, the number one thing is I want everyone to say, holy shit, I see your signs everywhere. And by the way, listeners, they're red and white and they're gigantic. Okay?
They're huge.
That's our commercial.
I see them sometimes. I'm like, there goes Jeremy.
Yeah. So like that's why we max out the signs. So we're known for our signs. We're known for what we do on social with all the videos and like pushing tech. So that's really, so it's a lot of cost up front. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so hard. But on average, I think we've got it to, your first year full time. Like at Resi, you can go part time and be no problem. In our world, you can't. You just can't because, like Resi, it's nights, weekends. Like our people are with their families, like they own businesses, or they don't want to fucking talk to you because they're too busy. So it's during the day, like early mornings. Yeah, like I'm blowing out emails 4:30. Boom. Like, like holy shit, he's up too, or like hitting people at 5:30 in their office. Like that's when you win with people like that. So
it's good because you have the mindset of the people that you're working with.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're sending emails at 5 a.m, you're getting a response at 5:05.
Oh, and I do it on purpose because I know that. Like, oh yeah, you'll totally get a faster response. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, what time do you get up? How early can you meet?" I'm like, fuck it. Like, as long as like, I'll be like, hey, I'll tell my wife, I'm like, can you bring the kids to
Are you a morning
daycare
person?
school? What?
Are you a morning person?
Fuck yeah. I'm up at 4:30. Up at 4:30 this morning. Yep.
He's a
4:30
morning
this
person
morning.
too.
I am.
Grind it out, get a workout in.
I can't. Man, I'm a night owl.
I am
See,
up.
I passed out, dude. I had a headache. I went to bed. I got my kids to sleep. There was like no more like 7:15 out.
I've had
But
nights
I
like
had
that,
a horrible
man.
headache, and I just asked out. So, but like normally I'm in bed 8:30, 9. Like I'm
Yeah,
going
I mean,
to
but
bed.
if you're getting up at 4 a.m, that's
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I'm gassed. Like
yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
How long have you been? Has that been your routine? Like waking up at
So-
4?
It always is my aim, but every time we had so I got 3 kids, 6, 4, and 1, and
God bless you. that's
no, seriously, that's why I'm great.
Yeah.
That shit's real. And everyone's like, oh, it's such a blessing. Yes. But no one talks about how fucking
he has a 2.
I have a 2-year-old and a
6
7-month-old. I'm in it.
Add a third one in there.
Girls.
You're.
Oh,
yeah.
and
That's
it's
a
a
plot
girl.
twist.
It's a baby girl though. Like she's the best thing in the world.
Oh,
Love my
yeah.
boys, but my
Yeah.
boys are like little terrorists.
Yeah.
Like,
How old's the girl? She's the youngest.
She just turned 1.
Oh, she has you wrapped around her finger too. I bet you.
Oh, she's totally my favorite. I love you boys, but like on the record, she's totally my favorite at this moment. I'm sure that'll evolve. But I looked right at the camera. I was like I'm the parent that's like you can't like everyone's like you can't have a fucking favorite. Like, oh no, every parent has a favorite.
They
I
just
don't
don't
give a
say
shit
it.
what
Yeah.
anyone says. So
Every parent has a favorite.
every parent does.
you love them differently.
You 100%,
There
but
you
you
go.
got that that one that like
There's
is
one
your
that's-
ride or die that like, oh, you want to go somewhere, like, yeah. Then the other one that's like, nah, I'm out. But
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And so you love them differently, but like you have favorite settings in which you enjoy your child.
There we go.
Okay.
Like that.
I like the favorite
Yeah.
settings in which you
Favorite
enjoy your
settings.
child.
I knew we were going to go off on a tangent. I knew
That's
this.
fine.
I didn't know it was going to be about kids though. You know
Hey,
what I
that's-
mean?
Tangents are fine. Tangents are fine. But let's go back to the business at hand.
Sure.
So, all right. So you're working 18, 19 hours a day,
Yeah.
hustling, talking to entrepreneurs. But even within that success of commercial real estate, you started doing like your own stuff. So,
Had no choice, really.
business, like you own buildings.
Yep.
Landlord.
I mean, that didn't come until later because I like almost broke myself building this business. But like, I didn't start investing until I bought my first building in Springfield, which was the hardest learned lesson on business partnerships. On most people buy a flip.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That was a
Yeah.
big project. You're talking about.
It was 15,000 square foot building. We
That's
gutted
a
the
big
whole fucking
man.
building. Like,
I went in there to do a video shoot one time when you guys were still building. That's a big building.
yeah, that was wild shit. But yeah, so we bought that building and gut renovated it. And like, we're not talking a small building, 15,000 square feet. And so like,
That's a big
you know,
building.
That's huge.
How many floors is it? 3, 4?
two stories. We were looking like in 6 offices on the upstairs, like gut renovation, everything done. And then we redid all the first floor. And, you know, we were, oh, by the way, we bought it and closed on it right when COVID happened. So that was fucking awesome. Right, killing it. So like everything
That
that could
timing's
have
impeccable.
yeah, timing's everything. But everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And so we thankfully like still above ground on it. But you know, then I started looking at different business partners that had, I didn't know to look for offsetting skills. Once I understood like, okay, everyone should have a role
Yeah.
in any partnership. And so I started taking into consideration, I used predictive index, was a personality assessment. And so I was like, okay, what is your personality type compared to mine? What are your skills that you bring? How do they offset mine? What skills do I bring to the table? And every single partnership ever since then, that's what I do. So the buying group that I buy with, I've got a guy that's awesome. Like, first of all, I'm a child compared to these giants, right? And like, they own a ton of apartments. They owned a bunch of stuff, and they started coming to me on the commercial side, like, "Hey, can you help us with this?" And I was like, "Well," and then we found a property, and we're like, "Yeah, let's fucking do this." And so they're like, "We'll do the contracting work and the tenant work on the residential side," which I don't fuck with residential. Now I do because I have them, and that's what they play in. It was a mixed use building. I wrote a grant for it. But we all had different skill sets.
Yeah.
And that's where I knew, and we also were very self-accountable. Huge part. Like, you know, and coachable. Like, we can have very tough conversations. If you
huge.
can't have a tough conversation with somebody that's close to you, do not fucking go into business with anyone. You need to be able to be assertive. You can't be passive aggressive. So like, you got to know who the fuck you are and who you aren't.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
I think, the biggest
That's
thing
huge.
is everyone goes in like, oh, we're boys, we're good. Nope. Like, you need to know, like, okay, your lane's here, my lane's here. We're going to stay in our fucking lanes. And that's when I talk about offsetting skills, because those partnerships,
they're kind of stronger because it's like a super team.
Well, and also you're super transparent.
Yeah.
Like, and I can call somebody out and be like, dude, you're not fucking playing in the right place, or he'll do the same thing to me. And we have this one partner, and like, he doesn't come in. He's like a fucking phantom. Like he's there in the ether, but when we buy apartments, he's like the fixer. Like he knows how to handle tenants, like residential tenants, and that's his one trick pony, and he's fucking
so he's the guy for that.
Yeah, but like, he's smart in other parts of it, but like he does, like he's like releasing the Kraken. You know what I mean? Like, but he's exceptional at it.
Yeah.
So there's so much value, and then the other guy's the contractor, and I'm the deal flow guy, and I like help put deals together, get the financing, etc.
That's great.
So that's where I think if you're investing and you're planning to go into a partnership. First of all, if you can't have a tough conversation, don't fucking do it. Number two, if you're going to go into a partnership, don't do it with a friend, at least your first one. And number three, this is the biggest one. Always plan for the divorce. Always. Because like we go into...
Like early?
Right fucking from the rip.
Together or like on your own?
Like, so, hey, like if this shit doesn't work, how are we going to cut it off? What's that going to look like?
Does that mean like your business relationship or your actual relationship?
Business.
Just business. Okay.
Well, I mean, you do it so you can save an actual relationship.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's-
Because
that's
if
key.
you're
I get
friends, that's great.
No, you always plan for the divorce. And it's funny because here's the thing. When does shit get messy? When you don't have a clear delineation of how it's going to end. And again, we go into relationships, like personal and business relationships, like rose-colored glasses. This is fucking great. No, because there's going to come a time where it's not.
Yeah.
And so you say, okay, well, if I want to keep this, but you don't, here's the buyout. If you want to keep this, but I don't, here's the buyout. Here's what our roles are.
Yeah.
Like, but people are just like, yeah, we're going to own a business together.
So now, are you doing that now with any partnership that you go into early on? You're having at least somewhat of a conversation like that?
I learned that from one of my partners. I have a partnership in California, and that was the first thing they talked about. And I'm like, why the fuck are we talking about this? And they're like, because, well, we're not all going to be together forever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as fucking gloomy and morbid as that is, you're not meant to be in a partnership forever. And I mean, it's cool if you are, that's great. Like, but if you look at any great founder, like if you look at like Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't fucking plan for the breakup. He got a shit suit out of him.
Yep.
You look at Jeff Bezos, you look at
Steve
Elon
Jobs.
Musk, you look at Bill Gates, like you look at Steve Jobs. All of them went their separate way, like partnership split.
Yeah.
So they're going to, and it's because you either outgrow each other one way or another, or you've now limited, like you've hit a ceiling of skill level with one partner.
Yeah.
And now you're looking to go next level. They can't go there with you unless they're willing to really ramp up their skill set. But traditionally, the speed at which you're both trying to rise, there's a speed differential, and that's where that occurs.
How much would you say all this you just spoke about is learned from experience or like books? Would you say the majority is from experience?
I think it's both. If you're just learning from experience, and I'm a very experiential learner, so I'm like super ADHD if fucking people haven't noticed already. But like, I think you really get to a point where you're like, I need more information that I can't learn from experience because it's going to hurt me. And that's when you start looking at books. And then you can pull from that like in a random fashion, like a la carte wise. And that's how you have success. Because if you do it only off experience, you got to get really fucking lucky not to fucking sync with it.
You ain't lying. Some of the situations you run into as a business owner are sometimes you're like, what the heck am I going to do now? Like, how do I handle this? So sometimes having a mentor or having someone you can piggyback off.
That's a huge point.
Huge.
That too is like, the other thing too is I always like, whenever I talk to startups or start businesses, you always need some form of a advisory board or somebody to bounce ideas, because you're like, there is no one fucking unicorn that does well on their own. I mean, Elon Musk may be that person, but he still has a fuck ton of people under him or around him that make him better. So like if you're the one, like if you're sitting at a table, like, and look at the tables you sit at, like when you're in business, when you're with your friends, and if you're the only one fucking talking, get to a new fucking table.
That's huge.
Right? Like
That's huge.
You got to be the one that doesn't say a fucking word at a table, then you know you're learning now.
Yeah.
Like
That's huge.
And so that's the other thing. Like if I can go to some people and meet someone and be like, yo, I'm in this situation. What would you do? And I've been there a million fucking times, and I've had really incredible people around me that wanted to see me succeed. Okay. But also number two, didn't mind because they went through that path already. So they get it. You got to have those people. If you don't have those people, you're going to be in fucking trouble because you can't get everything from books. And some personalities will gravitate towards a book to get information. Other personalities will gravitate towards a mentor or a person to get that. But you still have to have one of those. Or if I would say both, so that you can also reciprocate to that person and it's not a one-way pull of let me pick your brain. I fucking hate that. You got to give it both ways.
I remember one time one of my managers, I had a client that really like pissed me off, like really bad. And they sent me an email. I went up to my manager. I was like, look at this email. Like, he was like, before we talk about it, go take a walk.
Yeah.
Take a walk, breathe, and then come back and we'll talk about it together. Because I was getting ready to fire off an email. And I was probably like 23. And then he sat down. He was like, listen, you're upset. Don't send the email. Wait till later on to calm down. If I would have not brought it up to my manager, I would have fired off probably the most insulting email, especially with email, you can't tell tone. So it would have been crazy.
And then what you learn from that is like moving forward, whenever you have those awkward or annoying clients, that you like breathe, don't respond, and then you know what I mean. When you're calm, you react. And you learn that, right?
That's huge. There's two situations in my career that had I not reached out to somebody, it wouldn't have ended well. That one time with the email. There was another time a client was upset about a wedding, and I was out. She sent me a text message. I was hurt. I was mad. I'm like, let me calm down here. I had a conversation with another friend of mine, and because I had that conversation, the outcome was a lot easier because the outcome was going to be toxic if I would really want to say what I wanted to say.
Emotion in business, you need it, but you got to be able to like...
You got to tame it. You got to be able to control it.
That's why like you call it putting it on ice. Like you get like fucking spicy about something and you're like, you're about to blow up. Like you got to just... And that was hard for me. That was really hard for me at first. And that's one of the things you learn. But like you get a lot more... Like you can't hide from facts. Mm-hmm. Like you can't. Emotion... You can hide all fucking day. That's how people hide facts, is with emotions. So like that's when, and again in business, like you need emotion because you need that hustle, that motivation, that like fire in your gut, and that's emotion. But you got to know how to handle that. And like Joe Rogan brought up something on his podcast, which was epic, of like, it's better to be I think it was like a warrior in a garden.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Than a gardener in a war, something like that. Yeah. I probably fucking butchered it. But like, if you know how to I forget what his name is, but talking about being like a monster, you should be a fucking insane monster. But the ones that can tame that.
Yep.
And know how to handle it are the ones that never have to use it. You know what I mean?
Like Hulk.
Exactly. But that's why he's the most powerful out of the Marvel, universe.
Yeah. He got beat up by Thanos, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Iron Man, what?
But we're getting close to the end. One of the questions I want to ask you, so far from everything you spoke about, I appreciate the extreme hustle that you have from early on, putting in the hours. Can you talk a little bit about where that hustle, that drive kind of came from, and what kind of pushes you to move forward? Because for everyone, it's a little different. Yeah. Like the reason for my hustle and grind, like I grew up in a single parent household. There wasn't a lot of money come in. And so I know what it's like to live like that. I don't want my kids to live like that. I don't want to live like that again. So I grind in fear of that lifestyle. So that's my motivation to like, I'm not grinding. So like, what's your motivation behind your hustle and your tenacity?
So it's part of that. So like my mom left when, I don't know, I was like 14. And so like, and I didn't know it up until recently that I was poor. Like, and again, there's all levels of poverty, right? And I grew up in Williamstown, and everyone's gonna be like, there's no fucking way you were poor. No, I was on Section 8. I had to go down in the basement to turn on the fucking shower, and the fucking shower starts running upstairs. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but again, like, and I was like, I was never, I think I was a little embarrassed about living in that style of house, because that was with my mom, but my dad was the one that actually was financially, so I went between houses. But I also like had to grow up on my own because I kind of lived on my own when I was like 16. So I think I never wanted to, same thing. Like I didn't want my kids to have to go through that shit. But the other thing is I know that like I didn't mind blazing a trail. so that other people had an easier time behind me or who were walking with me to get to whatever journey they wanted, which is why like I love coaching. I coach commercial real estate agents. And I think that the other part of it too is like I hustle, but I can fucking hustle so much harder. Like I think that I'm like operating at probably 50%.
Sheesh.
Really?
Like I fucking know that I could be better. And I say this to Michelle, who's my COO all the time. And she's like, there's no fucking way. Like, and I'm like, no, I feel lazy most of the time. And I think that's part of it because I'm like, I always could fucking be doing better. Like, and I get down on myself because I'm not. Right? And the other thing too, it's somewhat like Nostradamus, or very like prophetic, but like, I don't think I have a lot of time, which like to be, like, I think I only have so much time to be everything I want to be. Which is like we're going down a little rabbit hole, and I apologize for this dark shit.
No, this is good.
Keep
Keep
going.
going.
Like, I don't think I have a lot of time. And so like I'm gonna fucking put in as much as I can, and that's why I think I'm leaving shit on the table, because I don't think like time moves fast. Like, how old's your son?
I have a 14-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Right? Because three-year-old was like yesterday.
That was, yeah.
And they always tell you it moves so fast, but
Yeah.
you don't look at how fast your life's moved. You're looking at your children's life and how fast they are growing up. And like, that's 6 fucking years for my son. That like 1 year's 20th, an 18th of his life. 1 year for us, like it's 38th of my life. So like, that's not that much. So it moves much faster. Like weeks are like days. And so like, I feel like I don't ever have enough time, and I always want more, and money doesn't matter, time matters.
Time is
like money
huge.
matters when you're a kid, because time doesn't matter because you have so much. But I think that's one of the reasons why, like hustle-wise, I think I could be doing, I don't even know if it's 50%. I think I could, I think it's like 36, because I want to give you some obscure number. Like,
That's crazy. If it's 36%,
I really,
like
but
that's
I
crazy.
think it's because I lack discipline. I think it's because I could be more disciplined. I could be more structured with my time.
That's funny because you're saying you lack discipline, but this is in the other way. Some people lack discipline in the way that I'm not going to do my job. I'm not going to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's never a question for me. And
Like
I think that's,
your lack discipline is like, I got to learn to like reel it down.
I need
Like,
structure. Like I need to be like, oh, I'm only going to respond to emails twice a day. Nah, I'm fucking I'm like just in time. Like I get something, boom. Most of the time, like I think I'm too fragmented, and I want to be better at that. But my personality is not like that.
How do you reconcile that? How do you go throughout like the
Fucking
day?
constant struggle. Dude, no, it's like real. Like that shit's real. Like I'm like, yeah, that's tough.
You can tell you think about it a lot.
No, like the tough part is I think I could be doing a lot more. Yes, I fucking work hard. I'll say that. I have a really good work ethic. I love work, but I also love what I do.
That's important.
Fucking love what I do. So when I go to work, it's
enjoy
almost
it.
a vacation to work. It's not easy.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but I understand with it a little bit. But
like it's
I
stressful as
understand it.
shit. But sometimes being at home with 3 kids is more stressful. You know what I mean? And that's harder, and that's
Yeah.
more work to me, as much as I love my kids. So, because I'm just not as good at it.
Yeah.
So, and also, I think that's where, like, if you're in it, like, and I always used to do these live drives, and I'll finish on this. I always used to do these live drives when, like, on Facebook Live, while I was driving in my car, and this was back when I was in banking, before I even fucking knew what I was talking about. Is like, if you're sitting at a job right now, like, if you're sitting in a fucking job, and you're like, I fucking hate my life. Like, or there's people that are like, 10 more years to retirement. That's why I became a fucking entrepreneur. I was like, these people are waiting to die. So like, they're fucking waiting to die. And it wasn't until my boss, when I was in banking, he retired, and 3 months later, I think 4 months later, he was dead. And I was like, fuck that.
I'll give you a wake up call.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm gonna retire at 45 so that I can watch my kids' soccer games or whatever
Love it.
fucking sport they play. Because growing up in a single parent world, they couldn't fucking be there.
Oh no, that's
So
true.
I want to be able to, and I remember looking out the soccer field being like, where the fuck's my dad? Oh, my dad's working 3 fucking jobs. So that's where I want to be. And I think that's why I work as hard as I do. But I think also, we could go down a long rabbit hole in this. I just think my job as a person is to provide and protect. And I'm fucking great at it. I know I can be better. I always can be better. Every day. If you're not progressing, you're regressing. If you're standing still, people are passing you, you're fucking moving backwards. So like, that's where I think, as long as I'm still pushing every day, moving it, being better at little like atomic habits, bullshit like that. I know I'm doing what the best I can, but I always know I can do better.
Yeah, I think the fact that if you think that you're good where you're at, then there's no.
You're already lost. If you think if you're complacent, that complacency will get you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, if you think you're the best,
There's always
you're
another
done.
level. There's always another level
if-
and everything.
a great example of complacency, Blockbuster.
Circuit City.
Yeah, they were happy with the
Redbox.
status quo. Redbox still around.
It's
So
almost
they're-
there. It's
they're
almost there.
They're
They're on
almost
the
there.
cusp.
They're
They're
almost
like
there.
right
They
there.
need to switch over to something, but right
Never
now-
be comfortable.
No, you
with
always
your
gotta
success.
always
Never.
grow, always innovate, adjust
Until you're
pivot.
done. And when you want to tap out, then it's okay. Like
Yeah.
like as a person, not as a business, but if you want to tap out, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you work your ass off and your face off until you're ready to just be like, I'm out. I'm good. Now I'm on to whatever life that is.
love it. I love it, man. Your success speaks volumes, especially from what you're saying. So the value that you provided in this episode has been magnificent. It's been
appreciate
huge. Before we end, we have a little segment that we do every time. It's called For the Win,
For the win.
where we ask you rapid fire questions. You answer the first one that comes to mind. They're pretty random.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I haven't-
Very random.
I don't,
Can they be like, I want some like weird shit?
I mean,
Not that weird.
Not that weird. Not that
Not
weird.
weird.
Not that
No,
weird.
random.
I want like some weird stuff.
So just answer the first one that comes around. Zach's gonna read them all.
Ready to go? Rain or snow?
Rain.
Lunch or dinner?
Ooh, oh my God. Lunch.
I feel like you're a huge breakfast guy.
Fucking love breakfast, dude. That's the demise.
I mean, you can't be up at 4 a.m. and not
I
like
fucking
breakfast.
love breakfast, dude. You should have asked breakfast all day over those two. I could just eat breakfast every day and be fine.
Friends or family?
Friends that are family.
Love it.
Love it. Coke or Pepsi?
Ooh, Coke.
Movie dates or dinner dates?
Dinner.
Hamburgers or hot dogs?
Hamburgers. If it's a cheeseburger. If it's not a cheeseburger, then it's a hot dog.
Okay, fair enough. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Bone in or boneless wings?
Boneless, dude.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're my man.
Yes.
I love it.
Casual or formal?
Oh, casual.
The shoes.
Dude, I'm dressed
shoes.
up today, dude.
Spring or fall?
Fall.
Fall. Fall.
Fall.
Fall.
Fall is right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's just the air. It's just the air
Yeah,
feels
I
so
like
good.
fall.
See,
You
one
can wear
quick
a
little
hoodie,
thing.
you
Can
can wear
I
a
just
jacket.
end on this? So the air in fall, in the morning and the day, is the best.
I agree. The morning air in the fall feels different. I come outside
The
like,
air in spring at night, when you have that first fucking like nice semi-humid night where you like throw like your windows open
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, we're here.
it's here. Yeah.
Those
you let
two
all that
feelings,
winter funk go out the windows. You're like,
those
yes.
two feelings are the most epic feelings.
I agree. I agree. Well, guys, it's been another episode of the Winners Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace, y'all.